Okay, so this is my OCR coding challenge, the text-based game. So here we're going to start off with a class. If I just open it here, we can see that this is a class called global functions, and this is a list of methods that all the forms use. So for the first one, we have a rummaging method, and this is a method for searching the room for items, and you'll see that we're using a switch case. So if the user is in room 1, we're going to use a number to see what they're going to get. So for example, if the number is 1, they're going to find a stick. If it's 2, it's going to be meat. If it's 3, then it's empty. And if a number is picked that isn't 1 to 3, it will go to the default case and it will show that the room is currently empty. Here are some of the variables we can use between the methods. Okay, and then we have the other rooms here. Then we have this random event which we call inside each of the forms to get the number that we're going to choose for the condition. So the first case, that's already pre-decided, but depending on what form we're in. But the second number, that will be determined through this function, this method. Then we have our inventory check. So if it's called, it can give whatever's saved in the inventory. So inventory is a list, so what it's going to do is it's going to join all the elements together and separate them with a comma and a space. Otherwise, it's going to set the value of inventory by splitting all of the words with a comma and then putting it in the list. Okay, then we have text retrieval. This is going to be useful because we're switching between forms for different rooms for the game. We're going to need a way to transfer all the text from one form to the other, and this is the way we do it using a text log. So this is just a string and we set it whenever we leave the form. Then we have these methods, and these are used so that these are important like events that happen in the game. So for example, attaining a key, getting a cube, completing a puzzle, or getting a match for a fire. Okay, so this is our code for the starting form. Here's some variables we can use in between the methods, and then on the form load, what it's going to do is going to set animation text, which is a string. It's going to say press the button to start, and then we're going to set a current index. Now we have a timer on the form, and this is going to help sort of like a animation for the text. You'll see when I run the code, and it's controlled by a timer, and here we have the interval is 5. So we start the timer here, and we also specify a location for the text box, and then this is just a static. So on the text timer tick, so when the timer started and it starts ticking, if the current index is 0, so if it's just been called, for example here we just made it to 0, what it's going to do is it's going to add 2 lines, so 2 blank lines, and it just helps to make the text look a bit cleaner. Otherwise it's just going to keep running the rest of the code. Here what it's going to do is it's going to add the character whichever is in current index. So for example, for press the button start with 0, it's going to be a P. So we're going to add P to the text box, and that text box is called animation box. Now if the current index, if it's a number big enough that if we add 1 to it, it's going to reach the length. So if we find this, if it's the same length as this, so the text I've highlighted, then it's going to stop the timer. Otherwise, it's going to add 1 to the current index and keep going. Okay, next we have the start button. So it's the first button that the user is going to press, and it just hides everything. It's going to rejiggle around the text box, so we're adding scroll bars to it. So we're keeping one text box, we're going to make it bigger. We're going to hide the start button. We're going to start a sort of introductory text to the game. Again, making current index equal to 0, changing the location of the animation text box, starting the timer, showing some buttons, and we just set room to 1 because we're in room 1 right now. Okay, this is the first button, a rummage button, and this is what this is going to do. So we have global functions here. This means we're going to go back into this class and we're going to call the rummage function. So this entire thing, and since so we called the random event first, so we're just going to generate a random number 1 to 4, and then we put this and the room into global functions. So room will be 1 in this case, and random event could be like 2, for example. So it's going to call that, and it's going to save whatever is returned with into animation text. So for example, if we have 1, 2, what it's going to do is it's going to set text to a dead rat stench fills the room plus 1 meat. Okay, and it's going to return that at the end. And then what it's going to do is it's going to add meat to the inventory, and then it's going to break the case. So if we go down, we see that we return this text here. Okay, and then we just run the timer, hide the button. Then we do this for check inventory as well. So we're just going to call the function to find out what's in the inventory, and then we're just going to print it to the text box. Now for the front door, so we're going to go in through a front door. So essentially in this game there's 3 doors you can go through. This is one of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the text, so whatever's in the text box, so the text box is somewhere around here. It's going to be around here. Whatever's in the text box, it's going to take it, and it's going to send it back to the class through this function here. Okay, so it's going to send it to text log, and it's going to save it so that when we go into the next door, so when we go into the front door, we can recall that back and then print out the text, just so that the user actually knows what's going on, and if they want to look back at the logs and see what they've done in the story, they can do that. Also, when we leave, we're going to show this searching button again, just so that instead of spamming it multiple times, they can do it every time they leave a room. Okay, we do the same logic for the left door and the right door down here. Now, in order to actually get that, so what we want to do is after the user is finished with one room, we're going to want that text back into the original form, which is like the main room. So what we're going to do is we're going to use form 1 activated. So that means whenever the user is selected, so for example, if you alt tab back in, that means it's activated because that's what the user is currently looking at. If this is equal to true, then we get the text from the class, and then we just print it out. However, if it's not true, then we make it true. Now, the reason why we do this is it's going to be originally false, and when we first open it up, it's going to try and call this, but there's nothing there currently. So when it does that, we turn activated to true, meaning that every other occurrence of it happening, we're going to need to refresh it. Okay, then we have light fire button. This is needed like towards the end of the game. So we're going to take the inventory, so we can see that we're getting the inventory from the class from global functions. However, it's going to return us a string, and we want it in the list form. So we can do dot split. So we're going to split it at the comma, and now here, so because we need to compare it between a list that we need, because we're going to be needing to light a campfire, so we're going to need some items to do that, obviously. So to make it easier, we need to trim all the white space. So here we do dot select, and we do this. So it's going to take each item in the list, or take each item separated by the comma, and just remove all the white space, and then convert it into a list so that we can actually save it. Okay, and then this one, string items. This is just a string of items we have that we want. So in order to start the fire, we're going to need a wood, we're going to need a rag, we're going to need a match, we need 3 sticks and a dry leaf. This is a list of items we need, except it's a string right now. We do convert it into a list. It's just easier this way instead of doing desired items.add each time. And we're going to do items.split, and then we're going to do a comma. So kind of exactly this, but this is the string we're using instead of the inventory in the class. So now we have a boolean. Now this is to check if we can actually do this. So this is where all our comparison is going to work. So we have desired items.groupBy. Now what groupBy does is it takes a list. Okay, so it's going to take this list here, and it's going to essentially separate it into groups, obviously by group by. So it's going to group by all the values of the functions. So it's going to separate it into separate groups. So for example, wood, there's only one wood, so that's one group right there. And then we have 3 sticks. So in one group, there'll be these 3 values will be in there. Okay, and then rag has it separate, match has it separate, and dry leaf has it separate. Then we're going to do a dot all. Now what this does is it takes the groups and it checks if they satisfy a condition. And in here is our condition. So we're taking the group from desired items, and we are checking if the amount of each elements match. So here you see that we have 3 sticks. We're going to want to make sure that there's 3 sticks in the user's inventory as well. So here, this is essentially what we're doing. We're checking how many. So let's take sticks for example. We know that there are 3 sticks in desired items. Now we're going to check if there are 3 sticks in the inventory. So what we're going to do is the inventory.count. So we're going to count all the occurrences that sticks occur. Okay, and this equals and greater than, this is a lambda expression, and this is used in language integrated query. And it's just a way of dealing with these type of lists, for example. Now we do group.count, and this is ensuring that the count of the group.key, we need to make sure that this is greater or equal to the desired items. Okay, so if there are 3 sticks in desired items, we need to make sure that there are at least 3 sticks in inventory.count, and this is the way we do it, through group.count. So it's going to count the elements in the group. So if there are 3 sticks in desired items and there are only 2 sticks in inventory, then this is going to retrieve back false, and fire will be false. And if there are empty, so for example, if we have a dry leaf in items but we don't have dry leaf in inventory, that's going to be 0 because there's not a dry leaf in inventory, and so that's also going to return false. Okay, and here is just the commenting I've put. This is some further information if you'd like to read it. Okay, now we're going to check if fire is equal to true. Then we're going to obviously add some text. You can read it here for animation text, and then we're going to hide the button. And now a little event occurs, so we're going to check if this inventory contains a scalpel, which is one of the items that the user can get throughout the game. We're going to show the button because we have the item, we can use it. Otherwise, we're going to have to use our fists instead, and we're just going to hide some buttons. Otherwise, if fire isn't true, so it means the user does not have the right items, we're going to just tell the user. And we're obviously going to run the animation side. So the button that we just shown, if we click it, an event happens, and then we also show the end because this is the end of the game, and we obviously print something, and then the end button just closes the form, nothing special. And then use fists. So if this is the user doesn't have the scalpel, we again do another check. So we get back to inventory, we get inventory back, and then we're just going to check if it contains this item. And then we obviously just print out some text and hide some buttons. Now you will see in my code that I've done 2 ways of checking if an item. So we obviously have this way of comparing a list, and then dot contains. However, you also see that in global functions, I also have done another way, and this is kind of like we can use this to check if an event has happened. Here it's just if the user has gotten a specific item needed to progress in the game. And I guess it's just a slightly less complex way. Instead of creating a list every time and then using dot contains, it's just possibly less code to write in the long term. Okay, this is just the UI for the first main form. Just a few buttons in the text box. Can't see it right now, it's over here. Okay, now this is the front door. So when we click front door here, most of the code is practically the same. So on load, what we're going to do is we're going to retrieve the text given to us from the global functions when we've clicked the button, and we're just going to go through this. Again, just aesthetics. Check inventory, exactly the same. Rummage, exactly the same. Again, this is just animation for the text. It's just that the scenarios in global functions will be slightly different. And then we have a specific event. It's called, so there's something shimmering underneath the bed. So we go to check, and it's the rusty key. So we're gonna call and say that we have got the key. So that's true. However, what we're also gonna do is that we're gonna call the inventory, and we're gonna actually add rusty key to the inventory, because this simply just tells the program that we've got the key. However, it doesn't tell the user that we've got the key. So if we press the check inventory button, rusty key won't show up because we haven't added it to the inventory. So here, this is just a process of adding it, and then just a leave room. So we're just sending the text back to the class, and then we're just closing the form. Left door, similar code. Again, the only thing different is the particular event that happens, and here it's just getting a runic cube, but very similar code. And the right door is where things are slightly different. Again, we have the same starting few buttons. And then here we have a puzzle. Okay, so we have a panel, we can see in here, with 9 buttons inside. Now each of these buttons actually come to the same method. We'll see that when each of these other buttons, rummage, check inventory, open door, leave room, they all come to their own method. But these 9 buttons all come to the same, and it's just that it condenses down the code. Instead of, having 9 separate methods, writing down the same, copy and paste the same code, we can all do it in one. You can see there's 9 references for the 9 buttons. So here what we're going to do is that we're going to check what the tag of the button is. Now if I can show you, each of these buttons, they have their own tag. Where is it? Yeah, so look, this button has a tag number 9 because it's a 9th button, and you have to actually add this physically. The button won't have it by itself. So we're just going to check if we're going to check what tag the button is, and we're going to check it if it's number 5. So the answer is number 5, so this button here. If it's this, then the user's got the puzzle correct. We tell the program that they've completed the puzzle, and we just hide and show some buttons. Otherwise, we're going to say that nothing happens. We won't give them any clues. Okay, and this only runs if the user has actually gotten the cube. The cube is needed to do the puzzle. If they don't have the cube shown in left door, we're just going to show that they don't have anything to put there. And then we have a use key, which is like similar, just another event. We're checking if they've got a key. If they don't, then they can't open the door. And if they do, they're going to get another item that they need to light the fire. And then we're just going to add it to the inventory. Okay, now actually running the game. We have a little starting screen. We can press start, and this is the little animation text I've been talking about. You'll see that it kind of like prints itself on the screen, almost as if someone is typing fast on the screen. I just think it adds a nice touch. Look, we'll see that our specific event happens. We can check our inventory, and look, we got it here, and we can press light fire, and we'll see that we don't have enough materials to light the fire, so we got to go find those materials. So we're going to go into each of the doors. So we've got the front door. It's telling us that there's something underneath the bed. Let's check what that is. It's a rusty key. We also got a rusty frying pan. Not sure what that's used for, but we have it. And again, we can check our inventory again. We can see that we've got a stick, we've got a rusty key, we've got a rusty pan. Let's leave the room. There's nothing much left in this room. Now we got the left door. So it used to be a bathroom. Something is in the bathtub. Let's check. We've got a runic cube. And there's also, we get our scalpel. Nothing left in the room. Let's leave the room. Okay, now let's try and light the fire. See if we've got enough. We don't have enough. We have one more door left. We can obviously go back in the door, and it won't actually show the same code. Same text, because originally it says we go in the front door. We think it's the master bedroom, and you notice something shimmer underneath the bed. Well, you can see that we've already picked up that item, so we can't pick it up again. Obviously, it doesn't duplicate, and we already know it's the master bedroom, so there's no need to tell us. Just tell us that we've gone through the front door, and we can just check again. And oh look, we get another frying pan. And look, we can see that we left it. It shows up where we left off. It doesn't just delete all this text just because that it was in just that form. It's also come back to the original form. So now let's check this right door. We'll just let the text print itself out, and then we can scroll down. So we enter the right door. You notice a wall full of holes that it looks like it's able to fit a cube-shaped object in a 3x3 formation. That's obviously this. A riddle is inscribed into the wall. 9 chambers stand in a shadowed frame, each sentinel in the silent game. At the crossroads where all pass the line lies the heart, neither yours nor mine. Surrounded by watchers, it claims its throne. A single void, cold and alone. I wonder what this could be. I think it's top left. Did I get it right? Nothing happens. Maybe top right. See? Nothing happens. I'm gonna guess the middle. Oh look. All of a sudden disappeared and new buttons appeared. Let's see what it says. I've completed the puzzle and a wall comes crumbling down, revealing a door. He tries to open the door but it doesn't budge. Well, I'm gonna open the door. You realise that you earlier picked up a rusty key, so you open the door, but it's incredibly dark. You feel around and find a matchbox with a singular match inside, +1 match. I wonder what that could be used for. Possibly to light a fire. Let's just see what else is in the room. Got +1 dirt. Not sure that's useful. Let's try and light the fire. I sadly don't have enough materials to light the fire. Let's check our inventory. Let's see what we do have though. We have a stick, a rusty key, rusty pan, runic cube, scalpel, rusty pan, much dirt. To be honest, half of these aren't going to help me light a fire. Only really a match and a stick. So I'm going to just go rummage around in each of the rooms and see what I can get up. See how all the buttons disappear? So let's read it. You successfully light the fire and it reveals the room around you. Multiple scratch marks gnaw at the walls and you feel fear overcoming you. You notice a latch that could possibly lead to the outside, but as soon as you reach for it, something leaps out at you. What do? Well, it might be this over in the corner, but that's just a wild guess. Let's use our scalpel that we managed to get earlier. We use that. You slash at the creature and manage to get away. You scramble at the latch and manage to escape the horror of the room, grateful to live another day. And that's it. I guess we win the game.